Today we're going to unbox finally one of the new Luba 2 X series. So we've got the Luba 2 3000X here. Finally we have them in stock in Australia, so we're actually the first in the world to actually have these. Yeah, hi everyone, Jason here, Robot Lawnmowers Australia. Today we're going to unbox finally one of the new Luba 2 X series. So we've got the Luba 2 3000X here. Finally we have them in stock in Australia, so we're actually the first in the world to actually have these released to the public. A few customers have already picked their units up. I'm going to do just a very quick unboxing, go through some specs of the machine, let you know a bit more detail about it, do some close-up shots of the blade systems and things like that. So not too much detail, but really it's just about getting it unboxed, show you what it is, show the compatibility of the antennas back with the L-shaped bracket, and also the garage cover that should also still fit on. But let's just open it up and let's prove that these things fit. Now, just to be clear to everyone, I have not actually unboxed one of these at all yet. This is the first time that I'm actually putting my hands on a physical unit, other than the 100 boxes we unpacked, unloaded. Okay, so straight away when we open it up, let's go there, we've got a camera on the side there so you can see in there, we have a quick start guide in the very top. So this quick start guide here, now it goes through basically just giving you features of the robot, telling you what everything is, what's in the box, and the buttons, and how to start and stop the robot. It's actually quite good. They actually got a little explanation there on how to start the robot. On the back side of that, we have a QR code there for downloading the app, and the installation of the bumper, the key in the back of it, and the antenna and pole and things like that. So nice, quick, easy referenced material there. It's actually quite good. It's actually quite thick cardboard there as well, so it's actually quite durable. But yeah, look, the clearest thing that they're telling you on there that I want to point out is that the antenna needs to be, they're saying no closer than 3 meters from any structure or tree. So that's their sort of terminology now, but obviously watch our video on RTK robotics and how that works, to get a good idea of exactly what you need to do when it comes to setting up your RTK antenna. Okay, so back in the top of the box here, so everything's really well packed again. They've actually got better foam this time. That's not as not as styrofoamy as the previous styrofoam that sort of fell to bits. Charger, a little pamphlet there on top. So let's just start unpacking it and we'll see what we do. Antenna pole, and we're going to confirm that this antenna pole is exactly the same as the Luba 2 antenna pole shortly. Underneath the antenna pole is a little brush. Okay, they haven't supplied that before, so a little brush for cleaning the robot. Then we'll go into it's not actually a box, so it's actually just a piece of cardboard that actually goes on top of that, which has got your power supply underneath it. And we might just very quickly open up and have a look at this power supply. So the details on the power supply are, they are physically a slightly different power supply as what's been previously supplied. The plug, everything looks exactly the same. It is a 6.43 amp charge this time. So last time it was actually 7 amp. This one's 6.5 amp. So it is definitely a different power supply than the previous models, just slightly smaller than the previous models. Okay, next little bit to take out of here, we'll just open up this little thing here. So this is just the little product booklet. Again, in here should just have the manual. So that's your little booklet there that comes out. It's got a little manual there on, not quite sure exactly how much information is in there. We'll go through that another time, but we have a manual. Okay, next out of there, we'll go with this little small component to do all three at once here. So we have a pack of blades that looks like a 24 pack. So 12, it says it on it, Jason. 12 spare blades, which is only one spare set for the robot because these have 6 blades per disc and 2 discs. So it's the blades, 2 keys again, like previously. I've never actually had a faulty key or a lost key or anything, so I'm not quite sure why they give you 2. And the little tiny antenna for the RTK. for your reference station. Okay, next box out of here, this guy here, which will be the trident, I imagine. Yep, so that's just the trident fork to go on the bottom of the pole. Nothing's different about that from the previous models. Next box out, probably feels like cables maybe. Accessory kit, doesn't say what's actually in it by the looks of it. Okay, we have the little screwdriver that they give you. I'm a bit of a fan of this little screwdriver. We actually find them very handy around here. But little double-ended screwdriver, it's got the Allen key in one end for doing the blades and also the bumper bar and things like that. And the other side is a little Phillips head as well. So it's actually, really is actually quite a good little tool. Next cable out of the box will be the RTK cable by the looks of it. So the reference station cable, extension cable. Okay, it's got 4 pins, so we'll have a look at that in a second. Let's have a look at the charger. So power supply for the reference station. So that's your reference station and power supply. Looks very, very similar to the previous ones. I don't think there's been any need to change that. We've had almost no faulty reference station power supplies. And that's 4 pins. Okay, so that cable there, which is a 10-meter cable, is for the reference station. And then we have a little accessories kit again, fixing kit, which is same thing again, as same as what we've had previously. I'll bring the other camera across here in a second and show you all this close up. But we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ground screws, which are these little screws here for putting the charging station down to the ground. There's 4 clips for clipping the wire down the pole. We don't use those a lot, but sometimes there's 4 little ground pegs for just fixing the wires to the ground, so you can fix those, neaten up your cabling and things behind the charging station. You've got the 2 little bits for putting in the charging station, for putting the reference station pole in the reference station, or if you don't want to put the reference station in there, you put this piece in and you put a ground screw actually through that, and you use that, and it goes down into the charging station, into the ground. Okay, so that's all that. Throw all this rubbish to the side. Next piece out of the box will be the bumper. I don't think there's any difference to the bumper from Luba 2. Let's find out. If I can get it out of the bag. Okay, so the screws are actually taped to the bumper this time. So previously quite a few people sort of complained that the screws weren't with the kit, but they always were. You just had to make sure you didn't lose them when you opened it. So they're now actually taped hard onto the actual bumper. And there's a sticker on here saying install and tighten the screws. So again, we had quite a few people that would click this bumper into place and then complain that it fell off because they didn't put the locking screws in. 4 locking screws again, and you only require 2. So you get 2 spares. Again, not quite sure why, because once you put it on, it should never ever fall off. There's really no reason for it to fall off whatsoever. It locks on so tight that there's really no way it's going to fall off. Okay, next thing out of the box is the reference station, RTK antenna, base station. Plenty of names people put out there. Real terminology, it's a reference base station. But a little hole at the bottom there for the small antenna. So the little antenna there just screws in the side there like such. Don't forget to put that on when you actually put them together, because they need it. Having trouble screwing it on there for some reason. Here we go. Not sure why I had so much trouble. Okay, a cable coming out of there that runs down your pole, or it goes through the center of the pole and out again. That'll also connect onto the L-shaped bracket, which I'm just going to prove that is the case very quickly. So let's just open up this pole, which is the top pole. So when you put this together, you're going to be feeding the cable down through the top of the pole, and then it comes out through that little hole on the side there. Oh, thought about that the wrong way, but anyway, that's okay. Feed that down there, it comes out this little hole at the side here, like such. And then that just selects, there's a spot there where that actually selects into the into the bracket like such. It slides in, and then you do this little clamp up like such. Now, that's the new pole, new antenna. So just to make sure that everyone's very clear that they are exactly the same as previously, just going to take that out of there like such, and I'm going to grab this antenna hole here. Now this is a Luba 2 antenna, so I'll just take that off there. And I'll put the old Luba 2 antenna onto the new Luba 2X pole, just to show you that the brackets are indeed the same, because there's been quite a few questions from a lot of people asking if the existing L-shaped brackets are compatible with the new Luba X, and they absolutely are. The brackets, the antenna and the pole is exactly the same as the previous models. So no need to worry about that. But it is always good to prove and show you that it actually is the case, not that we're just telling you that it's the case. Okay, now this next section over here, we have our our camera. Now these are the new cameras, obviously, with the new system. So previously the cameras did have a Bluetooth and Wi-Fi module in the actual camera itself. We didn't have a lot of trouble with them, but there's a little bit of trouble with the Bluetooth and Wi-Fi connections on the Luba 2s. They've now moved the Bluetooth and the Wi-Fi connection back to the main board. So there's a new main board in this machine. It's back on the main board. So there is no connections in the camera. So we have 3 connections for the camera now. There's a little 3-pin twisted connector there. Then there's a 6-pin white connector and another 6-pin black connector there for connecting the camera on, and we'll put that on in a second. And the screws are locking onto the camera itself. So the screws are already there, in there with a little nylon locking washer there that's holding the screws in place so the screws can't fall off. And there is a removable cover on the front here, which they've made very, very clear to remove it. They've got a sticker on there saying remove. That was another one previously that some people were commenting whether there was a sticker or not on the front of the camera. So you take that off there. So the camera itself looks different to the Luba 2. There's a big LED in the middle, so now the camera vision can now work at night time, which is fantastic. And the actual cameras themselves are a little bit different, and the way it processes is very different. Okay. Okay, so we'll take this top cover here off now, get rid of that. Getting close to getting the robot out of here now. Power cable. Looks like the power cable is hardwired to the charging station. That's something I did not know about. Okay, so let's just make enough space here. Left the station antenna over there. Okay, so we will get the robot out. Okay. Oh, it's got some cool markings on the back that I wasn't aware about too. Let's get this guy out of here. Oh, okay. Around about 18 kilos. So they're not the lightest thing in the world, but roughly about the same as the previous model. I'm going to put that over here for a second, and then I'm going to get the other piece out, and then we'll get the camera over so you can get a closer up view of the top there. Okay, so getting the charging station out, take that piece of foam out, throw that behind us. The charging station now comes out, and as suspected, the charging station cable is hardwired into the back of the charging station. Okay, yep, all right. And they've got one. I'll show you this on camera in a second. But that's all right. Okay. So I'm more curious myself about some things than actually showing you guys. Okay, so that's everything out of the box. Let's just roll that up a little bit, push this trolley out of the way, and I'll move the camera in so you can actually see what I'm looking at. Trolley's rolling across the floor. It's probably going to set the camera, set the alarm off in a second. Okay, so let's firstly, what are we going to have a look at first? Let's have a look at the charger for a first second. So the charging station, everything about it is still very much the same. Still has the same push buttons as Luba 2. which we didn't have a lot of charging station issues with Luba 2. So Luba 1, we had quite a few burnt out contacts with the positive side of it, but not Luba 2. Luba 2 has been pretty good on the charger side of things. It really has. On the back, so hopefully you can see there on the camera there, but yeah, so the power cable, which I might actually just do a little quick length test on that, because it doesn't feel like it's 10 meters. It might be, but it doesn't feel like it is. No, it's definitely not. Definitely not 10 meters. So let's have a look at what we've actually got. So as a rough measurement, 1, 2, 3, gosh, it might be 4 meters, guys. It's certainly a long way short of the 10 meters that it used to be. So that cable there now plugs into the power supply, and then in total we only have about another meter, or not even a meter, there's only 700 or 800 mil on there. So there's probably about, it's probably 5 meters, guys, from the back of the charging station to the 240 volt plug that you put in the wall is about 5 meters. So it's definitely quite a bit shorter than it used to be. Put that over there. Now the other thing on the charging station is you still have the ability to plug the reference station, or the RTK, or whatever you want to call it, directly into the charging station. Now, again, we don't know. Obviously, in this particular case, it's probably perfectly fine now. Once again, back in Luba 1 days, we weren't recommending that you did use this plug here, because it was just putting additional current and stress on the little board that was actually in the back of the charging station. I'm sure it's probably perfectly fine to do that these days. And to tell you the truth, again, we didn't have, I'm going to say none, but I don't know if it's none or not. But I don't think we had any issues with burnt out control boards in the power in the charging stations that were caused by using the RTK antenna plugging in there. So I think it will be fine, but it now closes on the outside and the cables are on the outside, whereas the last ones actually the cable fed through and out the bottom here. So different, but not bad or good, but it's really perfectly fine. Okay, so that's the charging station. On to the robot. So hopefully you can see. I'm going to just make sure you can see on the camera here. Yeah, it's not too bad, but I might let's just move that over there a little bit. We might scroll this back out a little bit so you can see a little bit better. All right, something like that. You should be able to see better. Okay, so the back of the robot, we still have this plug in. Now, obviously, these guys have got a hard-coded 4G module in them now, so you don't have to put a SIM card in the back to actually utilize it. I don't have a little tiny Allen key on me, guys, to pull that off to have a quick look to see what's actually behind that plug now, but there used to be a SIM slot and a USB slot. Oh, try and break it. Used to be a SIM slot and a USB slot in there, so I'm not quite sure what's in there now. We'll have a look and I'll tell you that later on. The IR sensor on the back, keep that nice and clean, guys. Another little issues that we had with a lot of customers was not keeping the IR clean here, and also on the charging station here. Again, hopefully you can see that, but that's the IR box there. So that's what allows the robot to actually align itself and dock itself on the charging station. Same contacts as Luba 2 again on the back there, silver contacts. Not sure if they're going to be a little bit more durable or not. There wasn't a lot of issues with Luba 2 on the charging system, and the slot there for the key. So let's just do that. So I'm going to show you on the camera. Put the key in like such, push it in, clicks into place. Very, very simple. Okay, on top of the robot, it looks really cool, guys. Obviously with the orange guard on the side there, a little bit of graphics on the side there. It really does actually look pretty cool. Got a dark grey button set on top now, which is essentially no different to the Luba 2, but or the original Luba 2s, but it's darker. We've gone back to three ultrasonic sensors on the front here as well, which is the same as what was on Luba 2. So rain sensor on top again, no issues. Let's see, there's a little stick on top here. It says "Good to know." The robot returns to charge. Oh, it's telling what the buttons do. So home is to send it home, then start to send it home. grass, then start to make it mow, long press to turn the robot on and off on the power button, and emergency stop. Now the emergency stop, if I had to guess here guys, I think there might be a little bit more tolerance around the stop button. Previously, again, Luba 1 mostly, not so much Luba 2, where we had issues with the stop button getting stuck down because a grain of sand or something would go down behind, it would go down around the finger. It looks like there might be just a little bit more tolerance around the stop button. Let's look at the camera. It's got a big sticker in here saying please remove. It says important. Tells you to install the three, you might be able to just see it on this other camera here. Tells you how to, just to connect the three connectors up. It's telling you not to twist the connectors up. Make sure they're not twisted when you put them all together. And then tighten it down with the supplied screwdriver. So let's do that, eh? So that just comes off. Now that is I think that might be cardboard, is it? So previously they actually made an actual hard plastic cover to go over the top of that. I'm not sure if there's one just laying around here or not because there's lots of them hanging around. That was screwed down onto the top of the robot. I always thought, well, what's the point of making that part? Because it actually can't be used because the robot is not functional if you don't put the camera on it. So you must install the camera on these Lubas for them to work. So why they gave a proper plastic cover on there with screws in it originally, I have no idea, but now they don't. Piece of cardboard, just taped onto the top of the robot, fantastic, saved themselves a few cents. Okay, so grab the camera, line up all your plugs. Might do the hardest one first with the thread. So it goes that way. There we go. Do the thread up relatively tight. I might do it this way so you can see it on this camera over here again. Doesn't need to be super tight, guys, as long as it's just reasonable finger tight. And then we plug the white to the white and the black to the black, like such. Okay. Still plenty of space under here, guys, to put an Apple AirTag if you wish to, for a bit of extra security. And then we put this down, and again, it basically does tell you to not cross over those wires too much. So just try and lay the plugs relatively flat, push it down to the position, go find the nice little supplied screwdriver, and do up the 4 screws. Okay, and again, they don't need to be super tight, guys. It's not supposed to be a waterproof seal. Just do it up reasonably firm with your fingers. I'm going to take this sticker off here. Don't think I need a sticker to tell me how to operate Luba. Okay, on to the front, which is the bumper. I'll spin it around here so you can see a little bit more on the camera here. Okay, a little sticker on the front there again. It sort of just tells you to put the screws in, basically, that the bumper goes in and the screws go in. So in the very front of Luba, there is a plug just sitting in there. That's what you plug the front of the bumper in with. So let's get the bumper. Get the bumper. So there's a light. So there's a light on the top of the bumper there. That goes on the top. So if you're wondering which way up it goes, there's a light on the top there that goes up. It's also on this one, we've got the sticker that tells you to put the 2 screws in. You can either leave that sticker on or take it off. I'm going to take that sticker off because I don't want to see yellow stickers all over my Luba. Okay. And you can see the 2 screw holes in the top there as well, which is the 2 screw holes to lock the lock the bumper on. So all we're going to do is line it up with the plug first. We're going to get that plug in. We're going to push the plug in until it clicks, like such. I think I pushed the bumper at the same time so you couldn't hear the click, but it has clicked. It's clicked into place properly. Make sure that plug's in nice and strong, and then push the 2 side buttons on the side there. There's 2 buttons on the side there. Press those 2 buttons, push it into position. You don't need to go pushing very hard anymore. Again, back in Luba 1 day, you used to thump the thing in there to get it in there properly. Don't need to do that anymore. Just gently put it in until it clicks. Go find your little bag of screws. So the 4 screws they give you for the bumper, you only need 2 of them. They've already got Loctite on the screws too, so they don't actually fall off. Get those 2 screws and put them in those 2 little holes at the front there, okay? Very, very simple, guys. It's really not rocket science at all. Unless you throw the screw on the ground. Again, just do it up until it's firm, as far as it needs to go. Okay, so they are screwing into metal once they get in there, so you can just do them up reasonably firm, not too tight, don't strip them out. Bumpers on, you're all good to go basically, all right? Okay, so that is assembly of Luba 2. So let's have a look underneath Luba 2. Okay, so is there anything different? Other than the blades, obviously we know the blades are different, right? But the rear axle appears to be the same. The rear motors appear to be the same, drive motors. The front drive motors appear to be the same. The front axle appears to be the same, which again, the early Luba ones, you know, if you drop them, you could break an axle. After that, they're stronger. They're not, you can't drop Luba. It's as simple as that. If you pick up Luba up to your belly height and drop it on the concrete, there's a very, very good chance you're going to break an axle. There's a lot of weight, and if they land on one wheel, they'll break an axle. That's just how it is. But if they're just being used for what they're supposed to be doing on the ground and mowing the grass, they are more than strong enough that you shouldn't have an issue with it. Again, it's got a little symbol underneath the bottom there saying "Do not pressure wash." Okay, so don't pressure wash them, guys. Just, I know they say they're, you know, is it IP 5X or 6X? Which I think it's 5X. Don't pressure wash them. You can gently hose them out if you choose to, but even then, I'd much rather see my customers just brushing out the grass or using a blower or something to blow the grass out. Okay, 6-bladed disc obviously is the big change on these guys, and the cutting motors themselves, and I'll get into some specifications after this once we've had a bit of a look. But the 6 blades on there, the blades themselves have got quite a bit of slop, which means they shouldn't get too caught up with grass. There is a very large nylon washer behind there now too, so there's actually about 3 mil of space between the blade and the disc now as well, which is quite different, so that's quite good. The deck itself is the same. There's no difference with the actual shape of the deck from Luba 2, so if it's cutting wet grass and that, it's probably still going to build up with wet grass a little bit, but the guards on the side here are definitely significantly smaller than what they were before. So you're going to get a lot less build up of grass in those side guards. And we'll take these discs off and have a quick look, I think. So let's do that. So again, your little tool that comes with it, does it fit? Yes, it does. So 3 screws in the middle of the disc, the blade disc, to take the blade disc off. Okay, so firstly, let's have a look at the blade disc itself. Now, I'll put this over here. So you can see the blade disc now has basically these little teeth on the back of it to try and stop grass and things getting built up in behind. There's also a little collar there as well, which is going to help stop building behind there. But on the robot itself, there's still a collar. There's still a spot underneath the collar there where it can get bound up, I should say. But all in all, they've done something about trying to stop grass from getting in there and getting bound up. Is this going to negate, the user having to pull these off to clean underneath them? Probably not. I think you're still going to have to take these off, maybe once a month, maybe. Take these discs off and these guards, which I'm about to take off as well. So you can make sure that all the grass is cleaned out underneath very, very well. So you should be able to see on this camera up here, these 3 screws here take the guard off. Now these 3 screws under here are a warning to you. Do not take those 3 screws out on that side there. That holds the cutting system in place underneath, and it's spring loaded inside the machine, so don't take those out. But these 3 screws here will take the blade guard off to allow you to properly see and clean under. Again, you may not have to do that, and I'll tell you why once I get this off. Hopefully we won't have to be taking this guard off to clean it anymore. Whereas Luba 2 and Luba 1, you absolutely had to take this guard off to clean it properly. So hopefully we don't have to do this anymore. So this guard now has got a dirty great big hole in the middle of it, which is fantastic. So every time Luba goes out, it lowers its blade, gets out to the area it wants to mow, lowers the blades down, mows the grass. Now grass gets in. Well, let's turn this up the other way so we can turn this up the other way. So basically the blade disc, turn Get those screws out of there so I don't drop them all. Okay, so it's cruising along, it lowers the blade disc down, goes and mows the grass. Now grass builds up on top of this disc, on top of this guard, and then when it's finished mowing, this raises up to the top of the deck, and then it travels home, goes and charges, comes back out, lowers its guards down, cuts the grass again, grass builds up on top of it, it goes back up again, and it cuts. It continues doing that over and over again. So in Luba 2 and Luba 1, we're getting a lot of grass build up on top of this guard, and it's compacting all the time and getting worse and worse, and eventually it stops the robot from being able to raise its blades to the top, and causes an error. Plenty of videos we've taken on this. If you've got an issue with Luba 2, watch the other videos, you'll see it. But now we have this guard that has a fairly large hole in the middle. So at very least, you're not going to have to take the guard off to see if there's grass under it. At least now, when the guard's in place, you can see straight through this hole and see how much grass is actually built up under it. So I don't think there's going to be a reason for you to have to take this guard actually off the robot anymore, which is really quite good, because it does. There is a seal there that actually seals around the cutting system that you are opening up and closing up when you do this. So it's not. So it's going to be much better for customers to only have to take the blade disc off to clean, rather than take the blade guard off as well. So big thumbs up there to Mammotion for changing that design. What I do still recommend is that you get on the app and you lower this blade system manually all the way down to the bottom. You can do that in manual mowing mode. Lower the blade system all the way down to, is it 25 or 30 millimeters, people? I'm not sure. I think it's 25 millimeters now. Lower it all the way down to 25 millimeters. That will take the guard away from the body, and then you'll be able to actually get your fingers and things in there and clean away. And possibly, if you do it often enough, or it doesn't get too much build up, even with the blade disc installed, lower the blades all the way down, so it creates a gap. Get a blower and just blow it out, and hopefully keep it clean. Underneath, that's it, guys. The guards on the side there, so those plastic guards that are on the side, which were different on the other ones, these are now orange ones obviously, they are still fixed to the inside of the robot. So if you do happen to break one of these orange guards, you do have to open the robot up to replace that guard. Bit of a shame. I was hoping that was going to be a bit of a quick release screws on the outside or something to be able to change those guards. If they get caught around a fence or something, they can break relatively easily. Okay, that's the physical robot, guys. That's the unboxing. Let's talk a little bit about what we know about the specs. So, for a start, there's a new app obviously being released for these to utilise the new camera system, the new functions. So expect to see a new app or a new version of a new update of the app to control these guys. The biggest change that we've got with them is obviously the camera system. So we've definitely got a rather different camera system. It's a larger computer chip in the machine that allows for a different system to actually build three-dimensional maps in its memory. So we're talking about a robot now that's going to be able to, haven't tested it yet, guys, so don't shoot me if it doesn't do it, but advertised to run 300 linear meters before it needs GPS signal again. So can't wait to actually really test and see how that goes. The cutting motors in these guys are now 165 watts each, twice the size of the previous cutting motor. So these are going to be a very powerful machine. Does that negate your responsibility to make sure the grass is mowed before they're installed? No. These are still not a mower. They are a maintenance mower. All robot mowers are the same. Mow your grass down before you install your robot. Don't let the robot go and cut your 100 mil grass back down to 40 millimeters. Just because it can do it doesn't mean you should do it. If you do, you really are, you're asking for trouble. And look, these guys are twice as powerful, probably going to be able to do it, probably happy to do it, but just don't. Just don't do it. Just cut your grass down. Let the robot maintain the height at the same height all the time. In Queensland up here, we recommend in summer that you make sure that these robots mow the entire area 3 times a week to keep up with the grass growth. Other areas of the country, different, obviously different countries, different, but every time the grass grows, 2, 3, 4 millimeters, you want this robot to be mowing the grass again and mow it down. So however long it takes your grass to grow 2 or 3 millimeters is how often you should have the robot going out and mowing the grass. 12 amp hour battery in these guys. The runtime is still about the same in that 2 to 3 hour mark. Now, so the battery's gone from a 10 amp hour to a 12 amp hour. I think they've used up that power essentially by increasing the cutting motors, and also the 6 blades on the disc now will actually use more battery power to cut and turn. So you're not getting any longer runtime out of the machine. It is taking a little bit longer to charge though, because it's going to take 20% longer for these guys, for this Luba X series, Luba 2X I should call it, series to charge versus the Luba 2 series. You've also got a half an amp difference in your power supply, so there's a little bit of difference there as well. So it's going to take a couple of hours to charge, and it's going to go flat in somewhere between 2 and 3 hours, thereabouts. I did mention briefly earlier about the 4G connection. Now these guys come with 4G already set up in them, so there's a chip inside the robot that actually connects to 4G. So you've got a data connection with this. As soon as you turn it on out of the box, it'll fire up that data connection, and you get 1 year of free data with Luba. So with the Luba 2X 3000, Luba 2X, or Luba 2 3000X, Luba 2 5000X, and Luba 2 10000X, you get 1 year of free data with the robot. Now, there's no function in the app at this current moment to update that or to revalidate that data plan, but I'm sure there will be obviously in time to come. The cost of revalidating that data on a yearly basis, renewing that data I should say, we don't know. It won't be much. Most robots have that functionality now, and usually it's less than 100 Australian dollars per year, but we don't know what it's going to be, and we'll know once we know, we'll tell you. You don't need the 4G connection on the robot. Obviously it has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, so as long as you've got Wi-Fi covering your area, then the robot will still be able to use Wi-Fi to connect to the internet, to be able to tell you its current status, and for you to be able to tell it if you want to stop it, start it, or change what it's doing. That data connection is only for communication. It's not stopping the robot from working. The robot, once it's mapped and functional, the robot will still do what it's supposed to do, whether it's got Wi-Fi or 4G. Both of those connections could be stopped, and the robot will still execute its schedule as it should. And you can control that via Bluetooth, and you can set that up via Bluetooth. So you don't need a Wi-Fi connection, and you don't need a 4G connection. It's just better to have it so that you can communicate to the robot, and the robot can communicate to you. Okay, so the other thing we want to check is the plug on the reference station of the Luba 2X versus the plug of the RTK for the Luba 2. And this is to confirm whether it fits into the solar panel or not. And I do believe the answer is no, it does not. So this is a Luba 2 and this is a Luba 2X. Now they are the same plug type and the same male fitting, but this has 4 pins, this has 2 pins, and no matter how you have the solar panel plugging into this, the alignment's not going to work. So the solar panel, I don't have one here, I can't plug it in, unfortunately we don't have one here right now, but the solar panel is not going to fit the Luba 2X series robots without an adapter. So we'll end up with an adapter that'll go between the two, but at the moment they won't actually just plug straight in. And the other one we're going to look at is the charging station contacts here for the garage cover. Now I have a Luba 2, a couple of brand new Luba 2 charging stations here. Now all I'll do is just put those so that the spacings between the fixing points for the garage cover to go are exactly the same. So the garage cover will definitely fit, but the solar panel will not. Okay. So on a compatibility issue, no solar panel at this point until we can get an adapter that'll plug between the two. So I think that's really it, guys. Obviously, if anyone who purchases these robots from us, by all means, you have any questions whatsoever, you call us. We're here to support you, that's for sure. Anyone else, if they've got questions and they want answers, they want us to test something specifically on Luba 2X, put a comment below. We'll test it for you. release a video, and we'll show you how it goes. We will be doing a lot of testing on these guys again, same as we did with Luba 2. A lot of testing in areas that have got almost no GNSS signal and things like that. Very curious to see if these guys now are able to garage themselves or dock themselves in an area with no light and no GPS signal and still be able to go out in the morning, because Luba 2 essentially did have a problem with that. It wasn't able to do that. So curious to see if these guys can do that now. So we'll be testing a bunch of things, but if you want something tested that we haven't covered, put a comment below and we'll see what we can do about getting it tested and release another video for you. For all the guys in Australia, you can contact us through our email, sales@robotlawnmowers.com.au. Check out our website, heaps of information on there, robotlawnmowers.com.au. Outside of that, guys, check out our socials, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.